We are Camila Vallejos and Geraldine Zeballos, and in this video we are going to analyze our lesson for the Access program at PUCV.
Our lesson was made on the 4th of June, and the students that were present in our lesson were part of a group that belongs to the Access program at PUCV. The group consisted of 4 students, 2 boys and 2 girls.
The topic of the lesson was to agree and disagree on ways in which learning English can change someone's life. The main objective of the lesson was that at the end of the lesson, the students will be able to use agreement and disagreement expressions while debating with mainly polite expressions.
The materials that we used were the whiteboard, a PPT presentation with expressions that were necessary for the lesson, a video, and a handout with an activity on it, which based on the book of Larsen and Freeman can be identified as a task-based activity. To be more specific, a reason and gap task, because the student should fulfill a table with some expressions that they have already learned in a previous lesson.
In our lesson, we used the ESA model, which according to Harmer stands for Engage, Study, and Activate. Harmer states that unless the students are engaged emotionally, their learning will be less effective.
So, following the author's statements, we engaged our students using a video related with the main topic. Then, in the stage study, in which the author claimed that the focus is on how something is constructed, we made our students to fill a table with expressions that are used to show agreement or disagreement. So by doing that, they will understand the way in which those expressions are used and in which contexts are present.
And finally, Harmer mentions that the stage Activate is used to encourage the students to use the knowledge acquired in the previous stage or the knowledge that they already had. So with the purpose of following this stage, we made our students to discuss about the topic using the expressions learned in the previous stage.
During our lesson, we followed 2 methodologies, CLT, which stands for Communicative Language Teaching, since as the author states that this methodology aims broadly to make communicative competence the goal of language teaching. The main activity we used was a communicative one. It means that the students were able to use the content learned with a communicative purpose.
And TVLT, which stands for Task-Based Language Teaching, due to the fact that the content was developed through different tasks such as give opinions, reasoning, and focus tasks and discussions.
In our lesson plan, we included 2 principles that are presented by Brown, which were Principle 1, automaticity, since we focus our attention in the function and in the use of the expression, so in that way, the students could be able to learn and acquire the content subconsciously.
And Principle 8, risk-taking, since we ask our students to explain the instructions using their own words, and also we ask them to model some of the instructions that were presented by us. In addition, this last principle was present in the sense that the students had to confront certain risks in order to use the language and the expressions used in an accurate way.
Okay, after having described the context of the lesson and the support of its structure, we are going to proceed with the main goal of the video. Reflect on what we did well and bad while teaching the lesson.
Well, during the analysis of our lesson, we realized that there were moments in which the lesson was successful. Some of the things that were good of our lesson were: first of all, we delivered and explained the instructions in a good and clear way during the whole session. So the students did a great job in the 2 main activities of the lesson.
Besides, instead of asking a yes or no question to see if they understood, we asked them to explain what they had to do with their own words. In terms of class management, this technique is very helpful due to the fact that we can be really sure about if they are following instructions. We believe that we did it well, because according to Scrivener, the best way to do this is to get the students to demonstrate their understanding.
You can check it in the following extract of the recorded lesson.
So you have to classify those expressions into agreement or disagreement, filling in this one. So you have 3 minutes for doing this activity. Gabriela, can you explain the instructions in your own words, please, so everyone can understand?
Classify the expression in agreement and disagreement.
Okay.
So you have 3 minutes.
Another aspect that we can highlight of our lesson is the fact that while we were monitoring the second activity, we took notes of the mistakes that the students were making when discussing in pair. In addition, we also participated of the activity for a while in order to help the student with pieces of advice or providing more interactions. This, according to Scrivener, is to monitor actively.
And after the activity, we gave them feedback by writing the correction on the board so the students could understand and correct their mistakes. We provided them negative but also positive feedback, which can be perfect for their confidence and motivation on learning a new language.
We wanted to highlight this point because we consider that it is important for students to know if they are accomplishing the task, so in that way they can correct their mistakes or improve certain things.
What's more, positive feedback, according to Desi, Valorant, Belleter, and Ryan, has generally been found to increase intrinsic motivation because it enhances perceived competence. Although, according to Fisher and Ryan, studies have shown that this enhancement occurs only when the feedback is accompanied by support for autonomy. Thus, for example, congratulating students for having done well at a self-initiated educational activity is likely to promote feelings of competence and intrinsic motivation. You can check it in the following extract of the recorded lesson.
Actually, you don't have the opportunity to select the things that you're doing. How much time do you have?
Is that you have many? So we are going to correct them all together so it is clear for all.
Yes. First, as you may know, when we use plural, we have to use are. So it's not elements is. You have to use elements are. These are pronunciations problems. It's not India, it's Indian. Just as we say in Spanish. Indian? Indian? Yes. The person that lives abroad is a foreigner. Not foreign. Foreigner. When you use, for example, foreign people, foreign animals. But the person is a foreigner. And the word is not native, it's native. Could you repeat that? Native. Good.
And also if you want to agree with somebody, is I agree with her. Okay, Alex, you said I agree with she, but you should say I agree with her. Or
Another good aspect of our lesson is that we take into account the mixed ability classes, due to the fact that we included different tasks that could cover different types of intelligence, such as verbal, visual, and interpersonal intelligence. Since we used videos, we asked about the students' opinions, and during the last activity, they had to share their thoughts with other students and with us as well.
This was a very positive contribution to our lesson, because as Bell states, every class demonstrates a mix of ability to some extent, and it is good to prepare a class with a mixture of different activities. You can check it in the following extract of the recorded lesson.
Now we are going to proceed to analyzing what we did wrong while teaching our lesson. We realized that we made some mistakes that were related with our personalities and the lesson plan itself.
First of all, we didn't take advantage of our personalities. In other words, our energy was low and the lesson was sometimes very flat, which had as result a monotonous lesson at some points. Maybe we were too nervous, and that's why we didn't perform as catching as we could do it to catch the students' attention.
However, we made more research about this aspect of a lesson, and we found that Scrivener states that it is better to project your voice clearly, but speak rather than shout. And that is exactly what we are going to do in the future, and of course, we will be more enthusiastic while teaching the lesson.
You can check it in the following extract of the recorded lesson.
Expressions such as I agree with you, I disagree. Do you know those expressions? So do you remember another one? No? How to expressions to show agreement or disagreement, such as
In relation with the lesson plan, the mistake that we want to highlight is that at the beginning of the class we showed a video that we couldn't really connect with the content of the class. So the students didn't understand the reason why we were showing that video.
Perhaps it happened because the students did not have a clear reference of the artists in the video, and that could have distracted them from the main point of watching the video. Actually, it might happen because we did not ask any comprehension check question in this part of the lesson. Probably if we had asked some more, we would have noticed that students did not know why they were watching the video. These kind of questions may direct the class in the most appropriate way.
The next time we teach a lesson, we are going to plan the lesson better and always taking into account the characteristic of the whole class, so the instructions may be delivered more efficiently and the lesson would be more engaging. In addition, we are going to ask more comprehension check questions as to know if the activities are being understood. You can check it in the following extract of the recorded lesson.
For us, all your music, all your talent. No, really, we are so glad to have you here in this, the most important stage in all Latin America.
Ahora el público de Villa no detiene sus aplausos para un tremendo.
Another mistake that we made was the fact that we focused our class more in the grammatical area, specifically expressions of agreement and disagreement, than in the content itself, so it was more like a grammar lesson. And maybe that was the reason why we could not connect the video and the topic with the grammatical part.
The fact is that, aside from teaching grammar, according to Scrivener, we also need to pay attention to what we do with language. Therefore, students probably didn't understand in the video showed the importance of using English correctly, especially in formal contexts.
To sum up, we have to say that this experience helped us to understand the role of the teacher and the student in the class, and also it helped us to define ourselves as teachers of English. For instance, after living this amazing experience, we have realized that it is really important to prepare material as clear as possible in order not to confuse the students. In addition, as teachers, what has an impressive importance is to motivate the students by means of our own personality and energy. And of course, the teacher has to be actualized about the best techniques to implement them during the lesson, such as monitoring actively or passively, depending on the class, check most of the time if the student understood the instructions and the purpose of the lesson. In that way, students won't lose the track of the lesson.
In addition, it can be said that this experience helped us both to identify that we were not taking enough advantage of our personality during the lesson. Since we are very extroverted people in daily life, we know that because we are very close friends. So the next times we are going to be more confident and dynamic while teaching. In addition, we strongly believe that in the future we are going to be really positive with our future students' learning process. We hope to encourage them in every single task in order to increase their intrinsic motivation. Well, that was our analysis. We hope you enjoy watching it. Have a nice day. Goodbye.